All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of In Liberty and Health. I normally do these Sundays, but I'm very, very happy to come back on Wednesday. I feel like the last time had a Wednesday show is with somebody that's a dear friend of Pete and mine's. I know I had Red Hawk on for a Wednesday and Jose on for a Wednesday recently. So just going through all the greatest guys in our sphere. So, anyways, hopefully everybody's doing well wherever, however they're listening. I had this idea for this specific show for quite a while because um, my guest today had been, I don't want to say necessarily promoting Trump, but I thought the way that he was looking at Trump was probably the best way to look at him as like, hey, things look different this time around. There's different people kind of backing him, and this seems like a reliable option that's better than the alternative, which I think is completely reasonable. And people who kind of viewed Trump that way, I have zero problem with that. The people who were all gung ho and bought every single promise and then are now going hard against him, I got to scratch my head a little bit at him. But I feel like my guest today has been probably one of the best people and looking at the way that things have gone down objectively, not being too black pilled and not being a complete and total plan truster. And nothing that necessarily makes him a centrist or anything like that, because I'm not that way either. But I feel like he has the best objective analysis of the Trump administration so far. So I'm glad that he was able to join me today so we could discuss all these things. But before we get into the rest of today's show, please make sure you go to all the links below where you can find my guest, everything he's got going on. And I want to flash this right up here real quick. A Common Crown has a new single coming out in 1 week from today. So go check out Slow Down next week. I cannot wait to share this with everybody. I shared it with a mutual friend of my guest and I's, Tommy, dear friend of the show, and he said it reminded him of Queensryche. So hopefully you all think the same thing, and hopefully you all like it. It'll be out next Wednesday, so I got to do a guitar playthrough for that. Go to tigerfitness.com and of course commoncrown.com to go find that single and everywhere you could find it and stream it. Tigerfitness.com, use code Kyle at checkout, and go to Fox Sons Coffee, use code either OGC or Kyle to let Steven know that you sent, or that we sent you there. And without further ado, let's get into the rest of today's show about the first year of Trump. And welcome back to the show, my dear friend, Pete Quinones. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Excellent. And I'm, like I said in the introduction, I'm very happy to have you here. We were bullshitting about cars off air, but now we're talking about slightly more depressing topics, but I think we'll have a decent spin on it. So one thing that I was kind of thinking about leading up to today's show is that I think I kind of came in a lot more pessimistic and you were going in a little bit more optimistic. And I think we kind of maybe met in the middle here where the good things that Trump did, I didn't plan, and the bad things that he did were kind of expected on my part. I'm not exactly sure 100% where your mindset was, but the read I got from it is that you were very level headed about it, as I said in the introduction. And like I said, I think that your view of things has been about as objective and reasonable as possible.
Well, I mean, it became pretty evident in 2024 that there were a couple elite factions vying to have control of the Trump administration. Obviously, Elon was around all the time, so one of them was like the Silicon Valley, the tech guys. There's always going to be the finance guys, and then what are historically known as the neocons. And I was hoping that maybe the tech guys would have a little more say. I thought that, I was hoping Doge would work out. But when you have an administrative state, which is just a way of saying a deep state without sounding, like Alex Jones, if you're not willing to get rid of that, it's very hard to get things solved. So, or to get anything changed. Now, there was a lot of good things that happened last year that I'm happy about. But the one thing that I didn't want, and I thought was going to be, I thought that the neocon, the Israel lobby I was hoping they would have I knew they're going to have influence. I was just hoping it would be just the same amount of influence they had in the first administration, and it seems like they won the year. I mean, they were in charge, especially after the bombing in Iran, and especially, um, we can talk about the shooting of Charlie Kirk. That basically, in my opinion, MAGA died when Charlie
Mm.
Kirk breathed his last breath, and it's over for MAGA. So
Okay, yeah, that's really interesting. And one thing I've pointed out, and I'm kind of saying a little tongue in cheek, but it was always that Donald Trump had took the death of George Floyd more serious than he took the death of Charlie Kirk, because one of the tweets that Trump sent out immediately after George Floyd was, "They need to honor the memory of George Floyd. If the looting starts, the shooting starts." Charlie Kirk got shot in 4K, and, like, I had my beefs with Charlie Kirk, but, like, in that moment, I'm like, "Oh, this is bad. Like, this is very, very bad." And this is not to sound crude or anything like that, but, like, this is a real opportunity for the Trump administration to finally get their shit together and be like, "Okay, we have to address the problem with violent leftists in our country," and maybe they'll use this for some political. Oh, hold on. I gotta get. Sorry.
sure.
Something going on. I'm sorry, Pete.
Sure, I can. Well, now it's my stream. Let's see if we can get this kicked off of YouTube. Okay, so what percentage of the Bolsheviks were of a certain tribe? Anyone in the anyone in the leadership, the Mensheviks? Let's try and get this kicked off of YouTube. So, so when the first thing Lenin does is pass. The first thing Lenin does is pass anti-Semitism laws. Who do you think was in charge of the Soviet Union right off the bat? Who do you think? Who do you think was in charge? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Okay. And I mean, let's jump forward to the neocons. I mean, these guys were Trotskyites. Why would they stop being Trotskyites? Because
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was red pilling people on
No, 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 you're good. You're good.
who the
Just
Bolsheviks were. Yeah,
completely necessary history. So I'm sorry. Everything's good. It was a little something with my daughter, but everything's good.
no
Um,
problem. Okay,
I literally completely lost my train of thought, so I'll just let you go
we
on.
were
Where you
we
were
were
going.
talking about you were talking about he was more upset by the death of George Floyd than Charlie Kirk.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it seemed like Trump had real political capital in that moment to, and definitely the popular will of the people, because I think a lot of people were kind of like, all right, well, we need a leader in this moment, because Charlie, whether people could knock him for being astroturfed by Jewish billionaires or not, he at least had something about him. He had charisma, he was smart, he was intelligent, and he was clearly evolving on some issues. I mean, you heard him getting a little bit more radical over time. And I'm not sure exactly where you stand on who did it. I'm not convinced that Israel did it, but I know a lot of people are really bought on that idea. But
We're never. It's like every other open murder.
right.
We're never gonna know.
Right. It seems like Trump had largely, and this seems to be the case every single time, Trump has a moment where he has a lot of political capital and he just grabs defeat out of the jaws of victory every single time. This seemed to be no different in that situation. So your observation that MAGA died when Charlie Kirk breathed his last breath seems pretty accurate to me.
Yeah, I had a lot of problems with Charlie, obviously. But the one thing about it was he tried to stop Trump from bombing Iran. He told them he told them don't do it.
Do
You
you
know, as-
okay, so
yeah.
I kind of want to go back and forth a little bit on this, because a lot of people will point to his tweets about that, but and I understand kind of both arguments of this, but immediately after that, he celebrated it, right? Like, there were some situations where allegedly he was giving pushback, but then he would turn around and endorse it. And I think the other side of this, or at least what most people would say, is that, like, he doesn't want to be confrontational with Trump because then he loses influence. What do you think about that kind of? It just seems like he doesn't really mean it if he's willing to go out and endorse what he did afterwards.
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those. I think most people who aren't, partisans or hardcore ideological are going to be like, okay, so we're here, we have to cheer. We're here, we have to cheer.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm not like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who, I'm cui bono on everything, who benefits from this. Um, so Charlie, the person who had the best take on Charlie Kirk was Sam Hutt when
Mhm.
he did his, video that it's kind of emotional, but he said, you have 2 weeks. He said, you have 2 weeks to basically go through the country and arrest every radical and put them in Guantanamo Bay. I don't think he said Guantanamo Bay, but he said, you got 2 weeks, man. If you don't do this in 2 weeks, it's over. And I mean, he didn't. He didn't. And, a lot of people are saying that the reason why Trump is now become this concentrating on foreign policy is because the judges and he can't do anything here. Every time he tries to fix domestic, he can't do anything. So you can go just kidnap a president of a country. I don't know how that benefits my life, or anybody I know's life, but I wasn't going to. I mean, I don't think it was a good idea, mostly because I think it was done for special interests.
Paul
And
Singer.
yeah, but Paul Sanger, but also, I mean, um, the Isaac Accords, which are
Mhm.
trying to um, spread more philo-Semitism into Central and South America. But one of my buddies, Firas Modad, who's on the Lotus Eaters, he said that he thinks that it was done because China, to weaken China, to we're going to have war with China. We need we need resources from somewhere. Venezuela is resource rich. Well, if we're going to have war with China, it's probably not a good idea to have 600,000 military age men and women who are Chinese
Mhm.
citizens in your country.
Right. And not to mention also when it comes to the resources from Venezuela, I just looked this up the other day, but a bottle or a barrel of crude from the United States or Canada is about $67 a barrel. From Venezuela, it's about $80 because there's so much more that goes into it. And I know you made this observation on a stream recently, but like the oil from Nigeria is pretty clean. It's a straight shot over the United States. Venezuela, they require a lot of time and effort into getting that oil out and actually usable.
Yeah, it's more industrial oil, and maybe you do need that for war, but it just doesn't really make any sense to me that you're going to start a war with a country when they have a fifth column sitting in the country. And so, I mean, and they're literal spies. They get caught all the time. They get caught bringing stuff in that's dangerous. They get caught stealing stuff. They get caught, I mean, it's just retarded. Um, but yeah, I mean, after Charlie Kirk, it seems, what I didn't really realize until after Charlie died was just how influential he was. How he was one of the ones mainly responsible for getting Trump reelected.
Mhm.
How he had back channels with everyone, and what happened after Charlie Kirk was now you don't have somebody who's talking to Trump and talking to JD Vance, who seems to be truly America first. Yeah, I mean he was convinced. Yeah, he said America first doesn't only mean America only, and that's why he could support Israel. That's why I try to say America only, because I mean really fuck every other country. But
Right.
and I don't mean that they're a country. I mean, I like England. I want to see England, return to its former glory. But but I want this country to do that more than anything.
Right.
But it seems like when Charlie died, there was no one to step up and do what he did, or nobody could do what he did. And immediately what you saw a bunch of people just start to audition to replace him.
Mhm.
And, people just started trying to do what he does, and they're still doing it to today. And I mean, I just don't see how you run on things like releasing the Epstein files and then you change the story. You say, "Oh, there are no Epstein files. There's nothing there. Oh no, no, we're going to release them. Oh, that creep. Why are we still talking about? Oh, it's a DNC plot. Oh no, now we're releasing all of them. Oh no, there's still a million more. Oh no, wait a minute, there's actually 10 million. Okay, I mean, the border's closed. Basically, immigration has stopped. Illegal immigration, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Pardoning the Gen 6 people, great thing. I even like that he pardoned Ross Ulbricht. Um, he's you know, he's talking about making it so that BlackRock can't buy private housing. He's talking about going to war with the credit card companies. Um, the 50-year mortgage thing, I kind of knew that was him just floating something out there really stupid to watch people chimp out. Although I did, it's like, I'm going to push back on that. That's fucking retarded. And anyone who has a mortgage knows it. 30 years is ridiculous. 50 years is, I mean, truly slavery.
Right.
And then once you learn how to read amortization tables, you realize just exactly how how sinful compound interest is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just Trump had some good accomplishments. I think that if he makes an example out of Minneapolis, he's going to be able, if he can get the corruption under control and then, start deportations of Somalis, that would be a really good thing. But the judges are standing in his way. So, I mean, at this point, immigration was always the number one thing. Immigration, it's like remigration. You got to get rid of people. You want houses to be cheaper, you get rid of 50 million people. I mean, it's just that simple. You want price to go down on things, to get rid of 50 million people. Businesses don't want that. Boomers don't want that because the value of their house is going to go down. A lot of people don't want that, but that's the way you save you save the coming generations. But these judges are in the way. So if he does not at this point start arresting judges, arresting a couple mayors, even a governor, I can think of all of those in one state, and cut off shut off the flow of money into there. It's not, this isn't going to be solved. And if immigration isn't solved, then the next president who gets in there could just reopen the borders. So,
Yeah. When I was watching some of the videos of the way that ICE was pulling people out of cars and the way that it's going around Twitter, my analysis was like, if you guys don't do something seriously to improve the quality of people's lives, people will be arrested. Like, I kind of thought you and Hawk were being somewhat facetious when you said, oh, like, we're going to go to jail in the next administration. But I was kind of looking at that. And when I saw, like I said, the way that people were being dragged out, I that was my conclusion. It's like, oh no, no, people will go to jail for just being anything left or right of center if Trump doesn't do something about some of this stuff, because right now the optics are bad and the Democrats are going to use every single ounce of political capital out of that, unlike the Republicans, because they won't use political capital the same way the Democrats will.
yeah, I mean, I heard this morning, I don't know if this has been confirmed, like 2,000 ICE agents were doxxed. Um,
Mm,
I mean, if they ever get back in power, which they will, because you're not destroying your enemies, which is what they do,
mhm.
then yeah, you're not only going to see, it's like It's what I said about Maduro. So they kidnapped Maduro, and the reason I'm saying they kidnap him is because they're saying he wasn't a president, that he was actually they're considering him to be a private system who was running a cartel, and that he was running a criminal cartel. Mind you, this is the exact same thing they did to the Nazis at Nuremberg. The exact same thing. They said that they were not going to have um, immunity, sovereign immunity because they were leaders. No, they were not a nation. They were a criminal cartel. That's how we can hang them. How we can create laws. How we can look at stuff they did and then create a law to say that's illegal and then hang them. Okay, so there were no laws against what they did before, what they were accused of doing, but they just created them on the spot, ex post facto. But they're doing that to Maduro, and do I care about Maduro? Not really. I mean, he seems like a scumbag. I probably really wouldn't like him at all. Um, but they're treating him like he is not a president, like he is not a sovereign, and they're bringing him. I mean, machine gun charges. Are you? What are you? What are we doing here? Um, so you're basically laying out what they're going to do to Trump or Vance or Marco Rubio or ICE agents or no, you don't have sovereign immunity. You were a criminal cartel. You were private citizens. We're going to RICO you. We're going to throw you all in. We're going to throw you all in jail. We're going to execute you. And I don't know that if he doesn't understand that that's what they're going to do. If JD Vance doesn't understand what they're going to do, but to believe that there are people that this is all like theater, and that there aren't people on some side, like when they raided Trump, when they put Trump up on 34 charges, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, when they debanked his wife and his son, that's like people think that's all theater. I mean, there's a cartel that runs there is a deep state, there is an administrative state, and they're there permanently. Those people are pretty much on the same side. There are some factions in there, but their job is to perpetuate this power structure. And they don't understand that those people don't care if who you are. They don't care that, you did good things for Israel. You went to war for Israel. You sacrificed American lives for Israel. You sacrificed American money for Israel. I'm not saying any American lives have died. I'm just saying it could possibly be something that could happen in the future, maybe even in the next 48 hours. But the fact that they don't realize that there are factions there that absolutely hate him. I mean, I'm sorry, the Zionists and the Jews hate him. They like him when he does. They say really nice things about him, but behind his back, they can't stand him because they see him as a wild card. They see him as somebody who is not getting JD Vance in line, and JD Vance says fucked up shit. Won't back Israel. Didn't kiss the wall before he became a Catholic, but now he doesn't kiss the wall anymore. When he goes to Israel, when he went to Israel recently, and they see him as they can't rely upon him. They want, as much as we think that he's giving them everything, he's not, and they can't stand it. And also, they just hate white people. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Yeah. They hate white people. They pretend to be white when it suits them, when it benefits them, but they hate white people. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like one thing that kind of came across to my mind is just like, I think it was you that said this at one point, like you have to be a full blown Zionist or fully philo-Semitic in order to be considered like a friend of the Zionists and the Jews, because look at the freak out over Megyn Kelly The lady who has gone out of her way to say, I'm pro Israel. She supported deporting Mahmoud Khalil specifically because he protested Israel, not because he was on a green card or anything like that, specifically because he protested Israel. She supported deporting him. They're calling her Grandma Groiper because she talks to Tucker Carlson. I'm pretty sure she even supported bombing Iran and everything too.
Sure.
She didn't fully jump on board for the Venezuela thing. She says she's skeptical. She supports military and supports Trump, but she said she's skeptical about everything going on now. And they're calling her Grandma Groiper. I'm like, you guys, like, what else do you want from people? If she's still going out there in 2026, when like the vast majority of like the younger Republican base hates Israel at this point. Like there's no
Mhm.
denying that. If you're over 50, chances are you're probably either indifferent or you love Israel. But if you're under 50, you're like, no, I don't want anything to fucking do with this anymore. Um, and she's somewhat receptive to that. And like I said, they're calling her Grandma Groiper, saying she's akin to Nick Fuentes for this shit, which is just like, I don't, what else do you want from somebody?
Yeah, they really get off on you being either completely philo-Semitic or completely anti-Semitic.
Mhm.
They don't like people in the middle who are like who are like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
They really don't like they really don't like that. They want you, they find the far sides of the spectrum way more useful than somebody who's just milk toast. I mean, I saw people getting yelled at after October 7th on not our war, not our problem, not our
Mhm.
conflict. And they would just I mean, they would be more mad at them than they would of me going, you asked for this. You got what you deserve. Sorry.
You're not
And
wrong.
yeah, it's like, oh, okay, well, but yeah, it's wild to see them the way they talk about people who were just basically, Tucker says, he's been to Israel a bunch of
He says he
times
loves
and
Israel.
he
He said
likes
nothing.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, nothing's better than a lunch in Tel Aviv is a quote, his exact quote. He said he's taking his family on vacation to Israel. And then he never even says anything crazy. He says, yeah, I don't want to fund it. And people lose their minds over him. They're calling him a Jew hater every day. Tucker Carlson, just wild.
it's very obvious that Tucker is, just has says I can like Israel without wanting to support them and support the fucked up shit that they do. Um, but Tucker is also very big, more so privately than publicly. But he does talk about this publicly on all the anti-white sentiment. That is
Yeah.
a real concern to him, is the anti-white sentiment, and they don't want to hear that because they don't there to them there is no such there is no bigotry other than not liking or supporting Jews. I
Mhm.
mean, that's it. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about you unless they can get something from you. That's the way these people operate. Now, of course, I have to say, Naxalt, not all X are like this,
Mhm.
but I mean, people say that Germany invaded Poland in 1939. It wasn't all of Germany that invaded Poland, so you have to be able to talk without qualifying every fucking thing you say. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I like what Buckley's doing, Buckley Carlson. I mean, he is openly like, screw you guys. You have no power over me. I don't have a show. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And I mean, he drops in the first 30 seconds of his appearance on Tucker, he mentions uns.com.
Mhm.
He shares today Jose Nino's article on uns.com about Paul Singer, where I mean, it's Jose's ongoing series Villains of Judea. I
Mhm.
mean, that's bold. That's some bold shit right there. Stuff you don't do. You don't share that kind of stuff. Um, Especially you don't share something from uns. You definitely don't share something that talks about Villains of Judea because they've never done anything wrong.
Right.
They will tell you
Yeah.
that. Their philosophers will say I've read their philosophers. Their philosophers say we cannot we cannot admit to ever doing anything wrong. As a people, as we can never say, yeah, this may be something to the Jewish people, unless it's something that a stand-up comedian says or something like that. But then if a stand-up comedian says, oh, we're so neurotic and everything like that, and then I'm like, yeah, you're so neurotic. It's like, no, we're allowed to say that. The way you say it's not good. It's like, well, I mean, if you're neurotic, that causes a whole bunch of problems. If you're someone with power and finance and access to power over people.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it's I've said that October 7th, 2023 is the beginning of a new age. We've entered a new age, and they can't back down. They did something that is so horrific. The world saw it. They promoted it. They started a Telegram channel showing their own crimes, and everyone knows. Even the people who support them unconditionally just make excuses for their barbarism.
Mhm.
And this is the future. I mean, I think in 2020, I don't know about this coming year. You have seen a couple pop up, but I think that in 2028, you're going to see a lot of people running for office, new people running for office on anti-Zionist platforms. And
Yeah.
yeah, if that happens, I mean, you have a crop. I mean, like, major races or have an anti-Zionist, an anti front runner. I mean, you are just, it's, they're going to lose their collective fucking minds. I mean,
Mhm.
you think that Dave Rubin and Gad Sad and Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and all these fuckers, showed their ass after October 7th? Oh, just wait until you have a crop of candidates who are like, yeah, we're cutting off from Israel. And it's like, and it's going to happen. It's already happening. You already have some running now. They're just not getting the kind of coverage, but they are, because social media is more important than like TV. So
Mhm.
people know who Casey Putsch is. People know who James Fishback is now. Whatever you think of these guys, I don't really care. This is the message. It's like Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the man, isn't important. Why people voted for him? Because they're sick of democracy and they're sick of the regime, of what this regime has become. Even if Donald Trump can't change it or won't.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very interesting. And one thing that kind of spurred in my mind there was a headline saying, in their words, I want to say it wasn't the Jerusalem Post, but I know it was some pro-Zionist outlet saying that Zoran Mamdani is bad or for global Jewry. And I'm like, once again, like you said, they can say these things, but if we say, hey, there's organized Jewry and then there's just regular Jewish people, we're anti-Semitic. It's like, well, you guys use these words, and I'm just using what you say, and I'm the bad person.
Take any three letters and make one of them J. So OJB, JJ, I mean, anything. And
Mhm,
just start Googling. 80% of them, you're going to find a Jewish organization.
mhm,
You're going to find a Jewish organization. If that is not organized Jewry, what is? The World Jewish Congress,
mhm,
who brags about the fact that they were, that, they were for gay rights. They were the ones who got gay rights pushed in this country. They were the ones, immigration. They were the ones who were the Civil Rights Act. They were the ones who did they brag about it openly. It's organized Jewry.
right,
Why are we fucking around? I mean, it's like you say it.
mhm,
If I go out bragging about something, and there are certain people who can take it as being detrimental to them. They have every right to criticize what I've done.
mhm,
They have every right to criticize what I'm saying, except this group that is immune because of something that happened 80 years ago, but don't bring up something that happened 60 years ago, like the USS Liberty, because that's something. That was 60 years ago. That was a long time ago. Well, what about the Holocaust? That's different.
Yeah.
Go fuck. I don't care. That's the thing is, people want to deny the Holocaust happened. People want to say, no, it was more than 6 million. I don't give a fuck. It wasn't my people. I don't care. I don't care. Shit has happened to my people in the past. I'm not running around all fucking day talking about it, using it as an excuse whenever somebody criticizes me. I mean, and the greatest thing these people do is they go, oh, if you talk about us, you're just acting like a victim. Who the fuck did I learn? If that is true, who did I learn it from? There's no bigger victim fucking class. I mean, like literally they said, they did a poll of Jews. What is the center of Jewish identity? And it was the Holocaust. And not Nobel Prize winners that I have to hear about all the time. Like that's some objective kind of metric.
Yeah.
And it's not subjective. Or, the bomb, or Oppenheimer and the bomb and all the Jews that created that, or Sandy Koufax, or I don't know, the Bible, the Old Testament. No, it's something bad that happened to us that wasn't our fault. That we didn't do anything. We were sitting around just making matzah. I mean, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, I don't care. I don't care. It'd be 7 million. It could be 8 million. I don't care. Not my people. Don't give a fuck. Okay. I mean, if you get to know Armenian people, you'll have some conversations, and the Armenian genocide will come up. Something that a lot of people deny, by the way, actually happened. But it's like whenever a Jew doesn't, whenever an Armenian doesn't get a job, or someone looks at them funny, they don't say, oh, that person is that person wants wants to genocide me because I suffered a genocide. They're not using it as this fucking excuse, and we know they're using it for power.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about power. That's how they got their state. I mean, I have an episode coming out tomorrow where we talk about one of the things that they did while they were, while before Israel became a nation. Operation Cast Thy Bread. What did they do? They poisoned the wells. They poisoned the wells in Arab villages. There's a Wikipedia page that'll tell you they did that. It's not a meme.
Right.
It's not a conspiracy theory. They poisoned wells.
I was always told that they had very bad neighbors, though. That's what everyone will tell you. And one of my favorites that you hear from people all the time is why don't any of the neighbors of the Palestinians want the Palestinians? I'm like, guys, you really want to go there? Do you really want to go there when we're talking about these two people?
Well, I mean, the Palestinians are not any better. I mean, they've gone. The Palestinians have been taken into Egypt, and they immediately start organizing and being subversive, and But what does that have to do with me? What? Why am I worried about that? Why am I worried about this fucking piece of land where barely anything can grow on it? I wouldn't know it existed if they basically weren't running this country and owned pretty much every politician. I mean, I don't care. It's like, yeah, okay, the Palestinians, sure. Well, why are they there? I mean, it's like, oh, they were invaders. They when the Jews started going there was no one on the land. Well, that's not even. Go read Theodore Herzl, the father of Zionism. He'll tell you that there were people on the land. There's actually Jews were living there, Muslims were living there, and Christians were living there. And they were living in pretty good harmony for a few hundred years there. I remember I was reading this. Ron Unz talks about this rabbi who went from Germany to Jerusalem in like the late 1700s. And he said, Muslims, Jews, Christians living in harmony. When we went to temple, we didn't even lock the doors. No one was going to mess with us. We weren't going to mess with anybody. No, but a bunch of fucking psychopaths went there and just started killing people. I mean, Menachem Begin, who would end up being a prime minister, one of the prime ministers, and who was one of the terrorists who went there, said, they asked him in an interview, what is it like to be the person that brought terrorism to the Middle East? And he said, to the Middle East, to the whole world. That's why when people say, oh, Islam's all about terrorism, I'm like, Islam's about conquest. We can see that in history, but who isn't? Like, we didn't come here. My Spanish side came here before the friggin' Anglos came here and started fucking shit up all over the place. It happens. It happens. That's what Muslims do. I mean, that's what Muslims did. They took over Spain. They had for 750 years until they got kicked out. They got kicked out, went back home. It's war. It's what people do. They go back and forth, but not fucking terrorism. You don't go to somebody's homeland and then like start not only blowing up the people that are actually living there and like openly terrorizing them, but like the British assassinating British officials and British people who, because the Brits were in charge of that land at the time. I mean, they had, it was British Mandate Palestine. And they just started killing them. I mean, so it's like, I mean, okay, well, if you want to scream at me about how Muslims became terrorists, I mean, us old people will remember a PSA that used to be on TV when a dad walks in on his child smoking weed and he's like, what are you doing? I learned it by watching you, Dad. Everybody, where did Muslims learn about terrorism? They learned it by watching them. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. It's like, I mean, and fine. I mean, if that's the way you want to be, fuck you, scumbags, whatever. Keep that shit over there. Don't take over our fucking country. It's like, isn't it amazing that Jews don't want to live there?
Yeah.
I mean, you have 50, they say there's 15 million in the world. I'm starting to think that that's total bullshit. That, it's only 2.5% of the country. Oh, no fucking way. That's gotta be a fucking lie. That's gotta be a lie. How come they don't want to go there?
Because they terrorize their neighbors.
Well, yeah, and you're waiting to get blown up. You're waiting to have a bomb dropped on you because you've been an asshole to people for 100 years, and you've killed people, you've stolen their homes and stolen their land, and you should have made sure that they were gone or kill them all. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like that would make sense. But no, they keep them there, terrorize them, actually use them as guinea pigs, like the surveillance systems that they sell other countries. They test it on the Palestinians.
Yeah, the Where's Daddy AI and stuff like that.
Yeah, all that AI, they use it on them. And also, when they fight back, they get to play the victim. They get to be like, oh, look, we treat these people so nice and everything. We keep them there and we feed them and everything. And then they shoot bottle rockets at us. Oh my God. All right, well, whatever. It's so bizarre, and once you see it, you just have to laugh, because it's like, how did people fall for this? How did people fall for this?
You will still hear boomers every day talking about the Islamic takeover of the West. And look, there are like some cities, what is it, down in Texas, that are like Muslim majority. And it's like, yeah, all those people should go home forcibly, but like, why are they here? Who brought them here? And like, why do they hate the West in the first place? Why we never go back to that question. It's always, oh, well, they're here now. Why do we have 5 times the Muslim population than we did since 9/11? And little did I know until actually recently that there is a larger Jewish population in the United States than there is a than there is a Muslim population. But this group who is, let's be honest, lower IQ and not quite as able to be subversive as this other group, why are we more concerned about them when this other group, you know, they happen to donate to both of pretty much every single presidential candidate, and they always have a say, and they may not get everything they want, but out of every single president, they get something.
I mean, neither one of them belong here.
Right.
The Yeah, I've said this about, people want to make such a big deal about the Bondi Beach shooting and everything. It's in Australia. Not one Australian, native Australian, perpetrated it or was a victim of it. So all Australia did was import an ethnic feud from halfway around the world.
Mhm.
Why would we do that?
Right.
Yeah, and we get it seems like we get a different breed of Muslim here than Europe gets. It's like my friend Thomas. My friend Thomas always says, it's like they just basically emptied the prisons and the mental asylums and sent them to Europe. That's what it seems that they did. And then you have the Pakistanis in England and in Great Britain, who, I mean, the inbreeding is unbelievable and the very low IQ, and they're monsters. Why doesn't that happen? If we have some here, why doesn't that happen here? Well, maybe it does. We don't hear about it. Maybe it's covered up, but they have to ask that question: why they don't do that here? But people look at Dearborn, Michigan. I remember, man, I'm old. I was an adult on 9/11, man. I remember all that bullshit. I remember how they were demonizing Islam, but refused to remigrate them home. Just like they're demonizing China right now, but they're refusing, but they will let 600,000 military age men and women come to school here and set up shop here. Look, I mean, the whole Qatar thing is hilarious when they try to say, "Oh, Qatar is more. Qatar is more." It's like, okay, well, yeah. I mean, I don't. How many? It's like if you look at how much money Jewish lobbies give to, pretty much all but maybe 5 or 6 of our elected politicians, especially the ones in Washington, D.C. I mean, there's a friggin' congressman named Don Bacon in Nebraska. Nebraska of all places. And he used to be an Air Force general. You got to wonder what he did to friggin' get a demotion down to congressman. I mean, that's a serious demotion. He's taken over like $1.3 million from AIPAC. Nebraska. And then I got him to admit on friggin' Twitter that if there was a choice between the United States being destroyed or Israel being destroyed, that he would choose the United States being destroyed. He's a U.S. fucking elected politician. Do you know what George Washington would have done to him? It would have been beautiful. I'd have paid to see it. I mean, we just don't have a country. Solving immigration would be a great start, because that weakens the country. It basically, you have no identity. Money is just being funneled everywhere, and just you basically have chaos. But really, when it comes down to it, is you just don't want, it's like Buckley and Tucker were talking about. These people have a hatred of WASPs, and WASPs are the founding stock of this country. And that's what I think they're most scared of at this point, is you have a couple of WASPs up there talking about, commenting on Israel and how Israel can't have, and it scares them. And, but, one of the problems I had after the whole Venezuela thing, when people who people who were like protesting like the Iraq war. I know people who are old enough to protest the Iraq war are totally behind this.
Mm.
And they're like, I was getting accused of being like, when I'm like, yeah, we shouldn't have done this. This doesn't make any sense. It's fucking retarded. You're doing this for Zog. Anything.
You were trooning out, you're
Yeah,
dooming.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're like, oh, this is just your you have residual libertarianism. No, I have like full on hatred of Zog. And anything the United States does as far as foreign policy goes, Zog is infested in it. And Jose Nino clearly showed that on, he's done the circuit. After he did my show, Myth of the 20th Century, released an episode where he talked even more, got into it a little more. And, this is just, none of this is benefiting Americans. And I know that there's a bunch of people who know people who are in the administration and have access to the administration who feel like, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. One of the best things that I saw this year on Twitter, I think it was last year actually. Somebody, I'm not going to mention their name because they get so bitchy and screenshot your tweets and, try to look for any little mistake you make, was bragging about how much I helped Trump get elected and everything like that. And Yarvin retweets him and goes, yeah, and you didn't get paid for it. You did it for free. Sorry, you're not. You want my you want me to work for you? You want me to promote what you're doing? How about you spread the wealth in this direction?
Mm-hmm.
How about the left does it? The left
Right.
gets their radicals, 6-figure sinecures they don't even have to show up for. I'm sorry. No, you're not. I'm not doing it. We need. I know people who should be like headmasters at like high schools and like boarding schools, like the best secondary schools in the country, should be the heads of colleges who they have no patronage. The right doesn't give them any patronage. Mm-hmm. You want me to be a patriot? How about some fucking patronage?
Right.
Our guys are out here struggling to pay our fucking bills while the BLM fuck ups have 3 and 4 houses. Yeah. You want people to be You want people to be soldiers for you? You want people to work for you? Patronage, motherfucker. Mm-hmm. Patronage. There's no reason. There's no reason that why we shouldn't have, the think tanks named after Carl Schmitt or Machiavelli, or fuck, if you're not gonna, if we're not getting any patronage, fuck you. Seriously, at this point, especially if you're not gonna do the things you promised to do. If you're going to be bowing down and doing the bidding of people who don't have our best interests, or don't have your best interests in mind, or destroying your legacy. Destroying I know Trump is all about legacy. They're destroying your legacy.
Right.
You want to have a legacy. You want to solve things. Hire a bunch of people, our guys, to fucking arrest judges. Give us the ability to arrest judges. Give us the. Sorry. I'm sorry. You're not. You watch our enemies get to be able to go and do things that are completely illegal, and they don't get arrested for it, and they're actually awarded for it. And I'm not saying I wanted to be, they're rewarded for it. And I'm not saying I want to do anything illegal or I want to be, but come on, man. what are you promising us?
Mm.
There's no promise. What's at the end of the fucking road? You haven't given. You're not giving. You're not selling us anything. You're not. You want, and a lot of their people who are doing this for nothing too. And will attack you because oh, you won't get with the plan. I mean, don't you see? It was just we just arrested. We arrested somebody who was anti-white. Okay, well, what evidence do you have of that? It's like, well, he was sending people into the country because to weaken the country. Yeah, he sees the government as an enemy.
Mhm.
Okay, so I mean, isn't that what Israel did by infiltrating Mossad, infiltrating Iran, and actually start building fucking factories to build drones there? Isn't that what they what? Oh, it's only fair game when someone else does it. You don't understand war. That's another thing about it's like fucking respect your enemies. Have some respect for your fucking enemies.
Mhm.
I'm not going to celebrate that girl in Minneapolis dying. I'm not a
No.
Jew. I'm not a
No, thank
Zionist.
you.
Zionists and Jews celebrate their enemies dying. They dance on their graves. They
Yeah.
fucking parade their bodies. I'm not
This is
fucking doing that.
I actually really appreciate you bringing it here, and also when you did this about Venezuela. When I saw people just cheering this on, I heard you make this observation before, and I mean, I've made it well known. I consider myself agnostic, but I find what's great about America is that it's a Christian country, or at least it was founded on Christian values. Just before anybody chimps out about that, but we bombed a major, like 80% of Venezuela is Catholic. We bombed a Catholic city, dropped a bomb on an apartment building, and killed an 80-year-old lady. Twitter censored the funeral. And now, granted, there were some militants in there, but still, they probably killed at least minimum, a low guess, 3 dozen people who were likely Catholic in a Catholic country, bombed their fucking capital, and there's people celebrating this. This is, like you said, this is what Jews and Zionists do about Palestinians. And I firmly believe we're better than those people. So why the fuck are you acting like those people? If I mean, if you hate Maduro, that's fine, but we shouldn't be celebrating dropping a fucking bomb on an apartment building, or like you said, a white liberal woman, no matter how much you think she's awful and evil, she didn't deserve to have a fucking bullet put in her skull. There's no ifs, ands, or asses about that either. So we shouldn't
Well, I mean,
celebrate.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Well,
it's
she
like,
did clip a cop, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
It
If you
shouldn't
clip
be.
a cop, look, if you go out there
You know.
and you're going to be going up against law enforcement, you have to expect that
Oh, yeah,
there's
I
a
agree.
chance that
Yeah,
you're going to get shot, and everything.
right.
I'm just saying you don't. Yeah, there was a time when especially white men and Europeans respected their enemies.
Mhm.
You know, they didn't dance on the graves of their enemies. I mean, that's what Zog does. I mean, and to your point, and I think Tucker has actually pointed this out numerous times. It's like whenever we go to war, it's almost always seems like it's for Israel, and then once you realize the government's completely compromised, you realize that pretty much everything we do is somehow benefiting Zog. He points out, isn't it amazing that Christians always end up getting dead?
Mhm.
I mean, Ukraine, Russia. I mean, how many Christians are left in Gaza? Christians in Venezuela. I mean, they always Christians always end up dead. I mean, World War II. There is look. I can make arguments all day for going to war in Japan, in the Pacific theater. There's no reason to go to war in Europe. There was no reason to go to war in Europe in World War One. But I mean, like, what half the class of Yale? I mean, like the cream of the wasp crop gets wiped out in World War One, and then basically all of European Christendom is destroyed in World War Two. I'm sorry, man. It's kind of hard for me not to notice the pattern. that whenever Zog wants a war, Christians die.
Mhm.
I mean, I mean, I particularly don't like what they did in Afghanistan, because I think that the people that they were trying to kill in Afghanistan were actually the ones who were like killing the baby, killing the child rapists,
Mhm.
and killing the poppy farmers, and we're policing them. We always end up on the wrong side, and the wrong people end up killing. You can make an argument for every war. You can make an argument for every action. It doesn't make it. That doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean that it's even practical. It's something you'd want to do. It's
Mhm.
going to work out well. But I mean, if you're going to do it, at least make sure the bad guys die.
Right.
And I mean, that doesn't even happen. That doesn't even happen. I mean, anyone who's still on Facebook, and I can't believe I still go on Facebook, but it's a good way to follow family, and they don't have to see the way you act on Twitter. Um,
Right.
but I mean, there were these posts that were constant. This Hamas person got taken out. This Hamas person was just taken out, and they're all AI pictures. They haven't even defeated They haven't even defeated Hamas yet.
Right.
I mean, it's like, what are you doing? Yeah, or the 12-day war. We
Yeah.
won the 12-day war.
Trump
Look, in the
stopped that, I
next
was told.
in the next 48 hours, they're probably the United States will probably start bombing Iran again.
You know how I know that they're going to do that, though? Israel and Iran supposedly had talks where they said they will not attack each other preemptively. So as soon as I saw that Israel told Iran that they won't attack them preemptively, I'm like, "Oh, you're
Oh
fucked
yeah.
then."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking something's going to happen within the next 48 hours. It'll happen at night too. They may wait until Saturday, because let's see, Trump's attack on Iran happened on Saturday. The Venezuela thing happened on Saturday, because the markets aren't open.
Mm,
Because as
yep.
soon as you have something like that, markets panic. But they have it that gives them an extra day to recover, and people come out of their panic mode. So
Mhm.
maybe not in the next 48 hours, but probably Saturday. Probably hear
Yeah.
something Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I
I
wouldn't
I
be
think
shocked.
I
I'm not
think you're
making a
right.
prediction, but I wouldn't be shocked.
That's kinda where I'm at as well. And it kinda amazed me how many people who I felt like they knew better, who said, "Oh, this took away Israel's casus belli, and now, there's gonna be peace in the region. Trump did such a great job with this." I'm like, "You guys know that, like, this just delayed the problem by a little bit. This just kicks the can, it literally does nothing but kick the can down the road." So now, and I do want your thoughts on kinda how this situation plays out going forward. Either Trump is gonna have to commit to just continually striking Iran, hoping that they won't retaliate, which I don't think is a guarantee, or you're gonna have to put boots on the ground or do some kind of massive campaign to really bring down the regime. I don't know which one he's gonna go for. My bet is more on he's just gonna keep striking Iran and hoping they don't retaliate, which they're typically restrained, but I don't think you can depend on them being restrained forever. So what do you think? Let's say Saturday happens, Trump strikes Iran again. What do you think happens in that situation?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's going to be boots on the ground. I mean,
I don't think so either.
yeah, well, I mean, I've done episodes on this, and I have a friend who has actually war gamed when he was in the military invasion of Iran, and it would take 2 years to stage to get boots on the ground. It's just going to be bombings, and what you'll see is they'll try their best to bomb anything that could, any kind of not missile defense, but offensive missile installations. Because if there's one thing in the quote unquote 12-day war that was Israel was exposed for, is that Iron Dome is only good against bottle rockets that are shot from Gaza. I mean, they took the amount of buildings, the amount of businesses that never recover, the amount of buildings that we're taking. I remember what's his name? I'm only laughing. I don't think it's funny. I'm laughing because of the irony of it. Um, Netanyahu came out to give a public press conference, and while he did it, a building behind him fell. A building in Tel Aviv just fell.
Mm.
I think that's the what could happen is if they don't get their offensive missiles, they're going to launch on Israel again. And I mean, people want, let's remember, Iran is not Arabs. They're Persians. Okay. They're I've seen reports that they have the seventh highest collective IQ in the world, the country.
Mm.
They have engineers who are top notch. They create weapons that they sell to Russia, and they have weapons that they buy from Russia. These missiles are some of their missiles are frigging impressive. And if they launch on Israel, I think what would happen is that they will launch on Israel. The fear is that they will launch on United States military installations in the region, oil platforms in the region, things like that. If they do that, then you're going to see an air. You're going to see an air assault that hasn't been seen since since Dresden, since Tokyo. But I think that they will probably keep it to firing at Israel. And what happens after that? I mean, God knows. We just don't know. We don't know. We don't know what the Iranian leadership is going to do. And there is a chance that, we're hearing about all these protests and everything, and 12,000 people killed by the regime.
20,000 people. The numbers just keep getting bigger and bigger.
That's just what they do. But how do we know? Unless people on the ground there who are insinuated into, into a space where they can find these things out. We really don't know. This is just one of those classic things where it's like, okay, so if we bomb the shit out of them or we fuck with them enough, maybe the people will rise up and overthrow the regime there. Well, who knows? I mean, I hate making predictions because I'm not really good at it.
Don't feel bad.
Yeah, but whatever happens, I was going to say it'd probably benefit Israel, but it may not benefit physical Israel. It just may benefit Israel, and it depends on how Israel plays it. Because if they do get rockets launched at them again, it's really going to it's going to be hard for them to hide it. Mm-hmm. They did a really good job of hiding it the first time around. But the videos were still making their ways out. Yeah, I don't know, man. Boots on the ground, that would be so bad. I mean, all you have to do is, if you've never done it, sit there with a topographical map of Iran, look where it is, look where Tehran is, and you just know that it's really hard to win a war. It'd be really hard to win a ground war against them. I mean, the mountainous regions, where Tehran is situated, where are you going to stage from? Are you staging from Afghanistan? Are you staging from Armenia? Are you staging from one of the stands? Well, I don't think Russia wants that. You're not going to stage from Turkey. They're not going to allow you to do that. Right. So I don't. It's really hard to know. And another problem is that Israel is just so, when this starts happening, they really get out of control and you
Yeah.
don't know what they're going to do. Let's not forget they have nukes. And if there's one country in the world I am fully convinced will use nuclear weapons at the drop of a hat, it is Israel.
Mhm.
I think every other country that has nukes, including Pakistan, knows don't do it. Just
Right.
don't do it. But Israel, these, if there's one thing that's been proven just by the behavior of their mouthpieces since October 7th, is they're not a stoic people.
To put it kindly.
Yeah, they haven't studied stoicism at all.
Yeah, I tend to lean on Iran being restrained. That's normally how they do things. They give a warning, they bomb a US target or something like that once everybody's evacuated just to kind of show that they're, big and tough, but I if they really go off, I wouldn't be surprised either because it's like, okay, well, the US has now kind of crossed the Rubicon of we've intervened in your country at this point. I once again, I think the US is still operating under the assumption that they're going to continue to be restrained, but I think you and I are both probably of the mind like I don't think that's a safe bet that you could just constantly assume that a country will allow you, especially one like Iran, will allow you to just do whatever you want with it and they're just going to take it. It just like you said, nobody can really predict the future in this respect because um if you back them into a corner, eventually they may decide, well, you know what, we've had enough, and we're just even if we go down, we're not going down without a fight.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know that Israel will just absolutely level civilian
Oh
populations.
yeah.
They just don't care.
Mhm.
Iran is a lot better about it. The bombings that they did, I think it was it early in 2024, that they sent to Israel. I mean, those hit military targets. They weren't aiming for, it's so wild that like these people are insane, they're madmen, yet they don't go after civilian
No.
targets. That's Israel that goes after civilian targets and then says, oh, you just dropped a building that had 15,000 people living in it and they're all dead. Well, there was one terrorist under the building that, hiding under the building that we needed to get, and then people are just like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, in the tunnels that we made.
Yeah. It's like literally, what do you do? What people people are so fucking retarded. I swear. That's why I have no faith in democracy. That's why, it can't be a libertarian. I mean, libertarians are Democrats when it comes right down to it. If we just convince enough people, yeah, that's democracy. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's, I don't, I, I don't need to get, no, you need like a small group of people that's well funded and motivated and are willing to get their hands dirty and get involved in power politics.
Mhm.
That's how you get what you want in this world. That's how you get that's in this system the way it exists now.
Mhm.
That's the way you get with it. That's the way you change. If you want to change things for the better, that's the way you do it. Um, anyone who wants to do anything, and they're like, oh no, we have to be individuals and rugged, and it's like, yeah, well, I mean, the people who like are in control and who are doing all the fucked up shit you don't like, they're not individual. They're not working as individuals. They're getting together and they're collectivizing.
Mhm.
And you can call that communism or socialism, whatever you want to call it. I've heard it all, but they're still in charge and you're not. So, and it's like, oh well, they're not in charge of me. Okay, then why are you advocating for anything different? It's like if your life is so good, why are you saying, oh no, we need libertarianism and everything? It's like, oh yeah, libertarianism, yeah. Good luck teaching a 65 IQ Somali about, hypotheticals and getting them to entertain a hypothetical, because that's not happening.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I mean, you can get Anatomy of the State translated into Somali, and and hand it out all over Minneapolis and Maine and every place else they are. But I mean, I don't think that's going to help much, because a lot of them just can't read.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, and they're not going to understand what they're reading, because that's not who they are or what their
Mm.
culture is. So, and that's not a bad thing.
Mm.
Just let them do it over there.
Right.
I have no problem with them doing it over there. I have no problem with Muslims in Muslim lands practicing Islam. I'm not a bigot.
Mhm.
I'm not. I might be a racist, but I'm not a bigot. All right. But yeah, I mean, this culture that was built was for a certain kind of people, and it's pretty much European, Northern European Anglos and Europeans. Europeans are most easily adopted into it. But once you start going into other places, I mean, sure, somebody can say, "Hey, I know this Somali guy who's like truly based in everything, and he wants to go to the Mises Institute." Well, your exception just proves the rule, because you're not telling me about whole neighborhoods that want to do that. You're telling me about one dude,
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you hope to see throughout the rest of this year? Are you thinking it's going to be a bloodbath in the midterms, or do you think they may be able to turn things around?
yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's hard for people to ignore the fact that they are paying insane amounts of money for stuff.
Mhm.
That the prices of things have gone up exponentially, doubled on some products, tripled on some products, and the
Right.
products are not the quality that they were once, when they were actually cheaper.
Right.
So I think that's going to be one of the things, and like I said earlier, the easiest way to drive prices down is, somebody's going to say, "Oh, sound money." What's your plan? Are you getting
You're not
elected?
getting that.
Are you gonna? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you can stay there in theory land and everything, but I'll be over here, doing what I do. Um, yeah, the easiest way to drive prices down and get things back to normal is to deport a lot of people, and the easiest way to do that is to to arrest landlords, arrest business owners who are employing them, to get them to self-deport. It's happened before, and in huge waves. You've already closed the border, basically. No more H-1Bs, and you get rid of, you get concentrate this year. I'm not going to tell you have to get rid of 50 million this year. Concentrate on getting 5 million gone this year, and that'll that's something you can build off of for the next 2 years after that. If he really showed that the things that he promised he would do, he's going to do, then I think people will be more excited to vote for him. But he's through the Epstein stuff and Iran and everything else, he just seems compromised. It seems like they've
Mhm.
got, it's very easy to say that too. It's very easy to say, "Oh, they've got something on him." Or, I
Yeah.
mean, he has just been a hard, yeah, I've read articles that are like, look, he's been a hardcore Zionist the whole time. His family is just have been connected with Jews for, you know, for for a couple generations. So this is just who he is. All right. Well, I guess then America first means Zog first. And, so what do we do? Yeah, I get the idea that because I'm one of these people who is not willing to, celebrate the little things, that, it's like, "Oh, you're blackpilling. You're going to be the reason why Trump, doesn't get reelected." It's like, me, huh?
Yeah.
Me and my fan base. That's what's going to do it, right? the racists and white nationalists, and that listen to me. That's the and the good normal people who just see that this is absolutely insane, that everything has gone off the fucking rails. No, no, I think those people are still, some of them. I think a lot of them will still vote for Trump, and vote
Yeah.
for Republicans just because it's a way to kick the can down the road or something like that. And I think a lot of there's, even over on the far right, there are a lot of people who are just as principled as libertarians. And it's like, no, I'm not going to take anything unless it's perfect. Well, I mean, you're never going to get the perfect. So, I mean, sorry, that's just not going to happen. You're selling something to people. So I assume that it's going to all go back to the House will go back to the Democrats. The Senate might even go to the Democrats. And then you're going to have 2 years of impeachment trials.
Mhm.
And good luck getting anything done after that. And that's why things like the Old Glory Club is important, because we don't do politics. We concentrate on, we're thinking 50 to 100 years down the line, and trying to build things that are going to be here, 50 to 100 years from now. And, put not your trust in kings and princes, because they're going to, disappoint you every single time.
Damn. Yeah, I think your assessment's spot on, as it always is. You plug the Old Glory Club.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. Come on,
Listen,
don't
dude.
do that to me.
I like your analysis a lot, even if you're wrong sometimes, which we all are. I don't think you're bullshitting me, and I don't ever have to. As much as there
I
are,
might be wrong. I might be wrong, but I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As much as some plan trusters, like I may like these people, I think they're good people.
Yeah,
I just
me
I
too.
can't listen to you smell your own farts all day anymore, dude. I'm sorry. I just fucking can't. At least like have enough decency to tell me like, yeah, I know I'm kind of sniffing my own shit here, but like this just makes me feel good. But when you try to get me in on it, I'm sorry, I can't fucking do it, dude.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I understand the people who want to believe that problems are going to be solved nationally. And I'm one of those people who doesn't believe that that's going to happen at all. The problem is that I look at the people who think that the problems are going to be solved nationally. And even though I think they're deluded, I don't think they're bad people. And I'm not going to judge them for hoping.
Mm,
But those people do not return. They don't return the serve on that. They
right.
think that by criticizing Trump and everything, that I'm evil, that I'm
Mhm.
doing something evil. And so all I can do is love them, even though they don't love me, and you know, and hope for the best.
Yeah.
But I mean, hope without action, hope without seeing something, return to you, like that patronage I was talking about earlier.
Mhm.
I mean, that it's foolish, and I can't do it. It's yeah, no, I need to be appreciated.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
know,
dude, I totally
I
get
need
it.
to be appreciated for the work I do. If I'm going to go out on a limb,
Mhm.
I'm not saying I need to be appreciated for reading 200 years together, and I need to be appreciated for having guests on who may bring insight or are edifying to you. I don't need to be appreciated for that. Your thanks is enough. Anybody who subscribes and donates money, that's greatly appreciated by me. Um, but I don't, you know, I need to be appreciated if I'm going to go out on a limb.
Yeah.
I need to be appreciated if I'm going to put myself out there in a way that, you know, basically threatens to destroy my credibility,
Mhm.
because all I have is my credibility. And people have tried to destroy it before, and I've even made some mistakes to have some people question it, and I understand that. I've made mistakes in the past, but my credibility is all I got, and I'm not going to put myself out there and be like, no, we just got, if we just trust in this. I know someone who works in the Trump administration, and he says this is going to be done. Do you know how many times I've heard that in the last year?
I'm glad you said that because I'm sorry, even if I think you're a stand-up person, and even the person, if I knew the person was a great person, like you said, I've heard that way too many times, and every single time, it's usually bullshit, and I don't think they're lying, I think they're taking what they're given, and I think either the people above them are lying or they're just full of hopium and
Yeah, the sad part is that the things that I've been told by people who have connections to the inside that were negative, that you're like, "Oh, fuck, please don't do that." Those things were actually done.
mm,
Yeah, so it's like, come on.
fuck.
Come on. Yeah, it's like, come on. That
Mhm,
all of our problems right now are domestic. It's the only thing we should be focusing on. It's just
mm,
it is the domestic issues. Solve the domestic issues, and you solve the domestic issues. You know how many of those foreign issues, the things you think are foreign problems, will just go away. I mean, a lot of the domestic issues being solved will solve the foreign problems.
mhm,
Manufacturing, manufacturing, and you know, that solves the China issue.
mhm,
And so the tariffs are not going to solve the China issue.
right,
I don't have anything against tariffs, like, per se, because I've studied List, and List lays out exactly how tariffs ran the country in the 19th century, and how we didn't even need an income tax, basically. Um, but that, you know if you're going to do tariffs, you, you have to carry through. You have to be consistent with them. You can't say, oh, we're not going to do them on this item. We're not going to do it, and this
yeah,
country is going to get less, or that. It's like, no, just do it across the board, and just be consistent. I mean, it's just there's no consistency in what they do, and if you don't have a consistent plan. I understand adjusting if something's not working, but I mean, nobody even admits to something not working anymore.
right,
So it's like, yeah. So I mean, what do you do?
yeah. Well, you mentioned patronage, so, Pete, why don't you let everybody know where people could find you? I know you wanna go about an hour and a half, and we're coming right up on that, so where can everybody support you and, find all your content?
Yeah, the Pete Quinones Show, all the podcatchers. I don't really put a lot on YouTube anymore. I just YouTube demonetized me, and anything I put on there now makes them money. And PeteSubstack.com. That's if you connect with me on Substack or Twitter. My Twitter @'s right there under my name, Peter R. Quinones. You know, yeah, we can even throw me a DM and tell me how wrong I was about something. I'm going to be wrong about stuff, and I'll be fine. It's funny. I'm not going to say I never. It's much rarer that I get someone going, "Hey, yeah, you were right about that." Although I did, although I am getting a lot of those lately. So,
I know, I was one of the people saying you were right, come Libertarian Party around, 2022, 2023, and I'm sure you probably got a lot of those messages. In fact, I know for a fact you had to have gotten a lot around,
yeah,
that time.
yeah, it was. Yeah, 2021. It just became apparent that nothing was going to be done. And I mean, look, it wasn't only me. Dave Smith
Mm,
decided he wasn't going to go all in on it either. So,
mm.
um, you would hope a third party can be raised up, but when you have an oligarchy, there's only room for two.
Alright.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, Pete, I really appreciate your time. Everybody, thank you so much. If you're listening live, please like the video. If you're not, do the same. And I will see you all Sunday for the next stream. Thanks, everybody.